Against Pharisees, Sect 3 from Judaism, part 16 of the series. Another sect, that of the Pharisees, followed next after these two. They had the same ideas as as the scribes, whose name means teacher of the law, for the lawyers were associated with them as well. But again, the Pharisees taught differently, since they had more regulations. For some of them, when they were practicing asceticism and had mark of a 10 or 8 year period, or similarly a 4 year period of chastity or continence, would quite often, along with constant prayer, enter upon the following ordeal to avoid an accident or wet dream, if you please. In order to live as much as possible without sleep, they would make the beds on benches only a span wide and stretch out on this at evening, so that if one went to sleep and fell on the floor, he could get up again for prayer. Others would gather pebbles and scatter them under their bedclothes, so that they would be picked and not fall fast asleep, but be forced to keep themselves awake. Others would even use stones as a mattress for the same reason. They fasted twice a week on the second and fifth days. They paid the teeth, gave the first fruits, those of the 13th and those of the 50th days, and rendered the sacrifices and prayers without fail. They went out into scribe style of dress, which we have been speaking of, with the soul, the other fashions, and women cloaks, and they walked in the white boots and with white tongues on their sandals. But they were called Pharisees because they were separated from the others by the extravoluntary ceremonies they believed in, phares in Hebrew from separation. They acknowledged the resurrection of the dead and believed in angels and a spirit, but like the others, they knew nothing of the Son of God. Moreover, faith and astrology meant a great deal to them. To begin with, they have other names in Hebrew for the Greek names that are taken from the astrology of the misguided. For example, Helios is Hama and Semes. Selin is Yareach. Halebana and hence is also called men. The month is called the men is called the men, and the moon is called men, and also in and also and it as it also in is as it also is in Greek because of the moon. Ares is Kokab Okbol. Hermes is Kokab Kokmah. Zeus Kokab Baal. Aphrodite Seva or Lilith. Cronus is Kokba Saptai. They have other terms for him too, but they cannot give the names of these things exactly. Moreover, here again are the Hebrew names, from what the misguided futilely regarded as planets, to the Greeks who wrongfully misled the word into impiety, called them the signs of the zodiac, Tela, Sor, Tiomin, Saretan, Ari, Betula, Mosnaim, Akraf, Keset, Kedi, Dali, Gagim. Following the Greeks to no purpose, the Pharisees, translated the same terms into Hebrew as follows. Aries is what they call Tela, Taurus is Sor, Gemini, Teomim, Cancer, Saretan, Leo, Ari, Virgo, Betula, Libra, Mosnaim, Scorpio, Akaf, Sagittarius, Keset, Capricorn, Gedi, Aquarius, Dali, Pisces, Dagim. I have not put these things in order to confuse the reader or to endorse the vulgar chatter of those who introduce the confused, crazy nonsense of astrology to the world. The truth conflicts this of incoherence and error. In other treatises I have said a great deal in refutation of those who believe in fortune and fate. Furthermore, I have written briefly against them in the preface to this work, but lest it be thought that I make vexatious attacks on people rather than finding out on the exact truth from their own traditions and publishing it, I have mentioned these things even by name. But all this is the ultimate embarrassment, and for people who acknowledge the resurrection and believe in a just judgment, it is uncommon silliness. How can there be both judgment and faith? It must be one or the other of the two. Either there is such a thing as faith, and then there is no judgment, since the human again does not attack of himself, but of necessity under faith's control. Or else there is a judgment which really looms ahead. There are laws which serve as judges, and evil dogs who stand trial, with law acknowledged to be just, and God's judgment absolutely trustworthy. Then faith means nothing, and there is no proof whatever of this its existence. Determination the determination of that, according to the difference between them, one person must be punished for his sins, while another is commended for his good behavior, is made because of their ability to sin or not sin. This can be proved consistently with one saying. The truth uttered by the prophet Isaiah in the person of the Lord. If ye be willing and hearken to me, ye shall eat the good of the land. But if ye are not willing and do not hearken to me, a sword shall devour you, for the mouth of the Lord had spoken it. Thus it is plain and clear to everyone, and not open to doubt, that the God who said in his own person, if ye be willing, and if ye are not willing, has granted freely against ye, so that whether he does strike or pursues an evil cause is up to the man. Thus, the notion of those who believe in faith is mistaken, most of all the Pharisees. But what the Savior told them, not with just one saying but frequently, must be said of them even many times more often, woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye have abandoned with the weightier matters of the law, judgment and mercy, and paid tithes of deal and mint and rue, and ye make clean the outside of the cup and of the trencher, but the inferior is full of uncleanness and excess. And ye hold as binding an oath by that which light upon the altar, but deem void the oath by the altar yourself. And ye say that to swear by heaven is nothing, but if one swear by that which is above heaven, this demanded of him, doth not the altar bear that which light upon it, and is not heaven the throne of him that sitteth upon it? Ye say, if a man shall say to his father and mother, it is korban, that is to say, a gift, by which thou mightest be profited by me, ye shall no longer honor his father, and ye have made the commandment of God of none effect through the tradition of your elders. And ye compass ye, and learn to make one proselyte, and when he is made, ye make him twofold more the child of hell than yourselves. What more than the sacred sayings could one cite in opposition to them? Indeed, I prefer to rest content with the Saviour's wise, true statements which the Pharisees could not face even For instance,